Introducing the RANE 4. Could this 4-channel Serato Pro controller be the ultimate setup for open format DJs? Well, let's find out. Announced with the official release of Serato 3.0 and their all-new Stems feature, this 4-channel controller has now just integrated something new, the Stem Split feature, which automatically splits the vocal and instrumental across 2 channels. It's also got 22 amazing hardware effects designed from the ground up, which sound incredible. Plus onboard displays, combo pad modes, full stem controls, and a whole lot more. Let's dive in. So naturally, the feature we should look first at is this all new stem split button. Simply, we can load a track into, say, deck 1 here. And then when we press this stem split button, you'll see on the screen, it then splits the track between decks 3 and 1. And what it's done is it's put the instrumental onto deck channel 3 and put the vocal onto channel 1. So if I were to play this track, it's then going to play the instrumental on this and the vocal on the opposite when the vocal comes in. We can use things like our controls, and look, we can beat jump through the track. We can use our hot cues, and you see that they're locked together. But if I take out one channel, I can control them independently to each other. So that's amazing. That's such a good new feature, which I think brings so much functionality to something like this, a 4-channel controller with only 2 decks. I can then apply effects just to one of those channels using my effects assign, which we'll dive into a bit deeper soon. And I can just do some crazy cool effects just on the vocal before then scratching my next track in. And we can do that. Again, we can stem split that if we wanted to, and it would go across both. And we can just isolate those vocals. So straight away you can see how powerful this can become. Now, if you want to take more control over the decks, what you can do is just choose one of the decks. So we could say deck 1, and I just want to play around with the vocal. Then I can scratch the vocal. But I've still got the instrumental here. So just like on any controller or equipment, we can toggle between the decks that are 4 channels. We can toggle deck 1, deck 3, deck 2, deck 4, and independently control each. But now with the stem split button, we can then quickly scratch just a vocal or just an instrumental, or use an effect just on a vocal or instrumental and do something creative with just that part of the song. Then, if we decide at some point we want to lock the tracks back together, we've done some scratching with them, and then let's say, you know, we're halfway through the track here. And we've just got the vocal, now we want to lock them back together. Press it again. And we've got the 2 tracks locked back together. And when this is flashing, again, we can use these hot cues, jump around the track. We can go onto a deck. And we can do it like that. Just note though that if you're on deck 1, for example, and you scratch, when you stem split, it will move deck 3 to match deck 1. So if you're doing that, just bear that in mind, that you want to drop it using whatever deck that you're currently controlling. So just bear that in mind. But super powerful, super amazing, and that feature coming with Serato 3.0 specifically for this controller is amazing. I'd love to find out if this is going to roll out across other controllers. I'm guessing it's going to become standard for any new controllers using Serato, having a stem split mode, but as far as I'm aware, you can't use it with any controller that's currently on the market as yet. Some more things that I find exciting about this controller, we've got now this onboard display around the pad mode. So you have all your usual pad modes that you'd expect from a Serato DJ Pro controller, with now the addition of the stems pad mode, which is awesome, a dedicated stems pad mode. But you've also got this display so you can see all the settings within your pad mode for each of the pad modes. And you can go to the second layer like pitch player by tapping again, and you can see all the root notes, semitones. You know, we can tap again to go into save loops if we had any. Scratch bank, it shows the actual titles of the tracks in the scratch bank. So it really helps with the real estate on the screen, because if you imagine if you're mixing 4 channels, it's taking up a lot of space on the screen. So then to have your effects there and, you know, your scratch bank all there on the screen, it's nice to take some of that information and actually put it on the hardware itself. So such a welcome addition. We've also got combo pad mode, another great feature. So I could hold hotkey, for example, and add stems, or I could hold hotkey and roll, and it changes and activates both at the same time. So if I did hotkey and stems, this is a great pad mode because it allows me to isolate parts and jump to different parts of the track. So I could just get rid of the drums, and I can still jump around the track while adding different parts in and out. And we can add those things in and out. So again, another real welcome feature is having that combo pad mode. Then we have all of our usual performance features, as you'd expect. We've got our dedicated looping controls. We've got our parameter controls to move around the different performance pad parameters. We've got a key adjust, so we can adjust the key of the song. These all have secondary features like key sync and reset, so we could key sync with the opposite track with the shift button. And we've also got here, you'll see a dedicated stems buttons here. So for this, we can just straight away activate the acapella without splitting it across the 2 channels. This is just on channel 1 now. Or we could just straight away get the instrumental. And that's just another way, instead of going into the stems pad mode, of activating the stems. If you are in stems pad mode, you can do some cool effects like echo out the vocal, echo out the instrumental, breaker on the instrumental, and a drums breaker. Lastly, on the deck section, we have our dedicated beat jump left and right with beat jump length control, a slip button, sensor button, our load and browse controls, as well as the range and the key lock for the tempo adjust. Lots and lots of performance features in the deck side of the equipment. Not forgetting that the jog wheels here have this nice center display now, bringing more information again onto the hardware, such as your BPM, your overview waveform, you know, the deck number, the beat jump value, and the time elapsed or remaining. You can change whether you have time elapsed or remaining, and whether you have the vinyl marker scrolling around within the settings of the unit. But other than that, you can't change what's on the display as standard. These are touch capacitive jog wheels. It's a bit strange that they opted for going for that turntable grooving on the outside, because these are not motorized platters. You cannot get them to spin. They are just static platters. They do feel great for scratching with, don't get me wrong, but the reason for these dots on turntables is to provide friction, so when it's spinning, you can just apply your finger to the edge of it and it will slow the track down. Here we're still just nudging forwards and backwards. So, I mean, I would have preferred dimples or grooves, because if this is the action we're applying, it's kind of standard to have dimples or grooves, but it doesn't really change your performance on the unit itself. It's just something that is probably a nod to the turntable DJs out there to include that kind of texture. Are you either a DJ just getting started or a DJ looking to level up your skills? Well, did you know we've got online DJ courses and tons of tutorials to help you do just that? We cover everything from Serato to record box to Denon, as well as product specific and genre specific courses, as well as skill specific such as scratching and transitions. Take out the guesswork with our step-by-step learning platform and iOS app, so you can access your content anytime, any place. Just check out wearecrossfader.co.uk. Let's get back to the video. Moving to the center, here is the mixer. We've got all of our usual controls. I'm not going to run through like our up faders. We've got an amazing Mag 4 XF tension adjustable crossfader in here. You will have to take the faceplate off to adjust the tension, but you can change the cut-in time of the crossfader within the settings of the unit, and you've got the crossfader contour on the front of the controller as well to change it from sharp or fast to slow. You've got all your usual EQ controls, trim controls, and the channel effects. Now the channel effects do feature filters, filter roll, which is quite cool, noise effect, and the flanger. They all sound pretty neat to me and pretty tight. The effects section is where this unit gets really exciting for me as well in the mixer section. So here we have 22 hardware effects now built into this unit, and they've been developed from the ground up to really, you know, think about if we're splitting tracks into vocals and instrumentals, how are the effects going to play into that? So there's some really cool effects that will work well on vocals in particular in here. Let's just run through how it works. So we can change our beat fraction here up and down. So for example, we're on echo, and we've now got things like a third echo. We can latch it on here, or we can hold it. We've got 3/4 of an echo again, 3/4 and a third are quite nice parameters to see. And we can change the level and the depth. These are the hardware effects. If you want to switch over to software effects, we just toggle this button, and now we're in control of the Serato effects, so we can turn them on. And then if we activate it, you'll see they come up on the screen. But let's go back to the hardware effects. There's some new awesome effects such as Recycler. We've got Scale Down. And then each effect has its own parameters, so you can change in here. You can see there's a secondary layer, and we can change the key, whether it's a major, a minor, a whole, and each effect has its own different parameters. We can also click this in and change some other things on some other effects. So for example, on the echo, I know that there is a feedback and a HPF cut that you can adjust using this parameter button here. Let's keep going. We've got riser. Matrix. Echo out. And then if you want to change these, you can hold any of the effects, and then you can use this parameter button to scroll through. And there's loads of awesome ones here. We've got stutter out. We just click in. It then replaces the recycler with stutter out. And it does this stuttering sort of out. And then again, we can change all the beat fraction of it and things. So you can go really deep with it. You can also choose, once you've set up the effects how you want, you can choose to save them to the hardware here, or you can reset the effects back to their sort of factory settings as they're labeled on the unit itself. As you can see, the effects really help you dive deep into getting creative with music and doing some really unique stuff with the sounds that you're playing with. A few other notable things on the rest of the mixer. So we have the sampler level here if you use Serato sampler, and you can also choose to assign the sampler to channel 4, which means then you can use the channel effects and also the effects here on the sampler as well. That's a nice addition. We've got the booth monitor and the main output control there with a quantize button at the top. We've also got our mic controls with dedicated echo that you can turn on and off for the mic. Plus we have the selectors to switch between USB and the line input. There is a phono source input on the back as well, so you could plug turntables or CDJs into this unit and use it that way. It's also worth noting that you could plug some Denon DJ LC6000s onto the sides of this unit straight into your laptop, and you could have control over all 4 decks with actual jog wheels for all 4 decks if you want to expand your setup, and that's quite a neat way of expanding this controller into, you know, a bigger setup. Along the face of the unit, we've got the Crossfader contour control, along with the Crossfader assign switches for the left and the right for each channel. We've got the headphone controls with a mix and level plus split Q switch too, with the outputs as an 1/8 or 1/4 inch jack. We've also got mic 2 controls on the front for the level, the high and the low, and we can turn that mic on and off. Along the back of the unit, we have both mic 1 and 2 inputs, plus the channels 3 and 4 inputs, which you can switch from line to phono with a ground just next to it. We've got the booth or zone jack output, plus another main out RCA with your all-important XLR master out too. You can switch this between stereo or mono. Then we have 2 USB connections for easy changeovers between DJs. And lastly, the power, which is just AC in. So look, this unit really is a powerhouse. It's definitely designed for the pro DJ out there, the DJ that is upgrading and wants the most out of Serato. And being announced with the official release of Serato 3.0, you can see that this has been designed with stems in mind. So this is perfect for those open format DJs, the battle DJs, the creative routine DJs. Obviously, you've got so much going on in this unit, it takes a bit of getting used to. And even me as a seasoned DJ, when I first got on it, I really needed to spend some time familiarizing myself with how I'm going to approach stem split and just getting used to when I split the tracks, you know, if I'm going to scratch certain ones, I sort of turned off the crossfader assign on the instrumentals, but left the crossfader assign on the vocals because that's how I wanted to mix with it. So it was a bit of a different approach to mixing, which took a bit of a learning curve, and it's something I'm still excited to get stuck in with. The effects sound great, and it's definitely a welcome addition, and having a lot of the information brought forward onto the hardware itself, because there's a lot going on, we can't fit it all on the screen. So having the center displays and these performance pad displays is again a huge welcomed addition for me. I honestly can't see any huge downsides to this. Some other things to point out is that it is very light compared to something like the RANE 1, because it doesn't have the built-in, you know, motorized platters, it's just static. Obviously a lot of the weight has left compared to the RANE 1. So it's a much lighter unit. It's built pretty well, you know, I've got to say it's decent construction. Yes, it has got a whole plastic faceplate, but it still feels pretty robust to me. And as far as controllers go, it's a pretty solid build. If you want to see it in action, then check out the performance mix that we put together on our channel, and you can see how this can be used a bit more. But I would definitely say this is one of the best upgrades for any Serato DJ user that wants to play open format. So look, unfortunately, it's a couple of hours before this video is meant to go live, and we're meant to announce the RANE 4, and we still don't have a price for the unit. So I can't comment on what this is going to be priced at and where it sits in the market. Once I do get the price, it will be in our article, and it will be in the description of this video. It would be nice, obviously a lot of people are saying let's get the motorized platters on there, but I don't think this is necessarily designed at turntablists initially. It's not to say that RANE isn't going to, you know, make something that has motorized platters and the stem split control. It's probably going to happen, but right now, you know, I'm more than welcome with the static platters. I think they feel great, and it just feels like a premium controller. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another review very soon.